Recording.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this interview session I have Mistress Blunt with me here today, who is a professional and lifestyle dominatrix. Mistress Blunt, thank you for being here today and joining me on this interview.
Thank you so much, Garlic, for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm such a fan of your show.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get our viewers in the loop for a bit, but I was very curious myself. I've been an active fan of your work for a while now. And so hearing all of your interviews with different people, I was curious if anyone ever interviewed you before. And so thank you for this opportunity to dive deeper into the secrets of you.
You're so welcome. I'm ready. Let's go. Bring it. Give it to me.
Okay. I would like to know, first and foremost, what's your life like in an average day for Mama Licious Blunt?
For Mama Licious Blunt. Okay. So are we speaking pandemic life, or are we speaking like normal, everything's just normal bad life?
whatever spirit compels you to speak which side.
Pandemic life is a lot more online stuff that I'm doing. So I'm like finding community and also working online. So that can get to be a little bit exhausting at points. I like really prefer the one-on-one interaction with people, but I would say a typical day in the life of non-pandemic Mama Blunt would be, I don't schedule anything before noon is a hard limit that I have. I do tend to sleep in fairly late, but that's only because I have insomnia. And I really have been like trying to set hard limits for myself of not going on my phone before I've spent 2 hours awake. So I like to wake up, have tea, walk my dog, turn on my phone, check socials, and then in an ideal day, I really prefer like longer sessions and play sessions. So like I would love to then like have lunch and then maybe go to a boutique hotel. Really beautiful lighting is really important to me. So I like to play in places with beautiful lighting. My background is in photography. So anywhere where there's good lighting, I'm like instantly turned on. And then a pretty masochist or service submissive would offer themselves to me. And then I would have my way with them, and I would be showered with attention, devotion, cash, gifts. And then I actually, in certain situations with submissives, I love to be bathed. I love like bathing ritual service. And then they would go away and I would have a beautiful snooze in a beautiful hotel.
Man, I don't know if you noticed this, but I just did a chef's kiss, but for like a solid 3 minutes during that whole conversation. It sounds absolutely lovely for you. Follow-up question when you're talking about how you don't like to be on your phone for certain periods of time after you wake up. Are you the type to charge your phone outside of the bedroom or inside of the bedroom?
I'm the type who wants to charge it outside of the bedroom, but I use a white noise machine on it. So I haven't been able to make the change, but I did buy a clock with an alarm. I have, my dom is screen time and my phone shuts down all my apps at 10 p.m. So if you see me online after that time, I'm breaking the rules of my dominant. And it doesn't turn on until 11 a.m.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a snooze button on that option as well that you can either choose to disobey deliberately.
I can. And
we don't have to go into that topic. Okay, well, now we know how you're so good at what you're doing. All right, and I will, full disclosure, we're going to have some silly questions in here as well because sometimes we just need it. If you had a book, what would you title it?
Oh, I actually keep I don't have my phone on me, but I actually keep memoir titles, silly memoir titles in my phone. If I had a book, what would I title it? It would probably be something about neuroplasticity, BDSM, and trauma, but I haven't come up with a name.
Okay, let me welcome our third special quest, a book deal. I'm just kidding. I said quest instead of guest. This is how much I'm thrown off right now. Okay, so a little bit more, I guess, your experience as a pro dom. So what do you look forward to when working with new submissives?
What do I look forward to with working with new submissives, or look for in?
Ooh, I guess, so let's say we are new clients and we're about to start our first appointment. What do you look forward to? And what is often, do you think, if there isn't often a hurdle that you have to go through with working with new people?
I think what I look forward to with new clients is I feel very privileged is in that I can be like very selective with who I play with. And I think that's something that's come from like being in the industry for long enough and having a certain amount of financial security that like I can say no to most of the things people throw my way. I also think that I have like a high barrier to entry in my contact form, and like I really only want to play with people that I think that I have a good chance of being compatible with without like having to perform. Like I'm not a performer, I'm not an actor. I'm really bad at faking chemistry. Most people know that's where I got my name Blunt is I am was told I had the subtlety of a metaphoric sledgehammer. So usually I'm just like excited to in non-pandemic times, I'm excited to just like play with people's bodies and minds. And I think with virtual trainings, I think the similarity that translates is like really getting to play with people's vulnerabilities in this like contained space that's negotiated and like feels like sacred and special.
That is very special. And for the record, I love sledgehammers. Sledgehammers are my absolute favorite. Okay, so I'm gonna say a word, and I want you to give me the first 3 words that come to your mind. Are you prepared?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Zoom.
Hell, pandemic, zoomies, doggos.
Zoomies. Okay, that's amazing. So I guess a little bit more elaborating that, because you discussed virtual and virtual training versus in person. So is that, would you say that's one of the more difficult parts, or have you found a rewarding part of it as well?
I actually really like one-on-one Zooms. When I say Zoom hell, I also do like academic stuff where I'm on like meetings that are all virtual, and I find it very hard to like maintain attention in multiple directions, especially when I'm not in the room with multiple people. So like with I actually like I find the like virtual training sessions that I do to be enjoyable because I also carve out that time to spend with like one time attuning to another person, whereas I feel like meetings are just like hectic. No one has an agenda. Like when I have like a session or a training session, I have a plan and I'm in charge, so I know what's going on. But I think there are so many other reasons for like organizing and academic stuff that I'm on Zoom that just the fatigue would probably be the better word.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. So many studies are coming out about it as well, the Zoom fatigue, since everyone's moving on to there.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Segue. What's your favorite foot? We all know you have gorgeous feet. Anyone who's listening to this knows that you have gorgeous feet. Do you have a favorite foot? Spill to us.
I've never thought about it before. I'm gonna say my left right now. I don't know why.
It's a feeling.
I will tell you, this is a weird thing that you now will know about me. My dad once told me he was grateful I didn't have my mom's feet or I'd be out of a job.
Oh my God, I just spit my water. That's really funny. That's also endearing in a way as well. It sounds very sweet. Okay, follow-up question. Sweet. Do you have a favorite toe?
No, whatever toe's bringing in the most money is my favorite for the day.
Oh, that's very fair. You know, you should actually maybe take a poll on that.
I'll consider it.
Yeah. Okay. Do you remember when you noticed or first engaged? I'm sorry, I just jumped right into this. I wanted to segue into, I guess, like mommy, daddy headspaces, because it seems very
Give it to prominent. Me. I'm here for the rapid fire.
Yeah. Do you remember when you first noticed or first engaged in that headspace? Like, what was that? Were you in shock? Like, oh my Lord, what's happening? Or?
No, I think it came really natural to me. I think just because my dominant role has always had a caretaker component to it. So it was just language that I was finding. It wasn't like a new activity. I'm thinking right now of a session with a submissive that I like really cared about, and he would like really regress like very far in scene and like into like a very deep headspace doing like a lot of shadow work, and I would like move through the role of like babysitter, mommy, dom, goddess, and just like this like cycle, like depending on like where he was in his regression, and it just like all felt very natural to me.
Oh, that sounds so lovely. I don't think I've ever seen a map of mommy, babysitter, goddess, and that swirl. But something needs some. I need some sort of animation from that. I don't know if you know any kinky
I'm
graphic
sure
designers,
you'll draw it up for me.
It's very much a shame if that doesn't come to fruition somewhere for it.
I think my powers of manifestation will make that come true.
You are. All right, and we're back for our momentary break right there. Okay. This is one, I don't know if you did express you were gonna say pass if you were not interested in doing this one. Have you ever had your orgasms controlled?
Yeah, I climbed from the bottom up. I climbed from the bottom of the barrel. Yeah, orgasm control is hot. I trained at a classical BDSM training chateau. I trained as a submissive. I played around with orgasm control. There is very little that I do to a submissive that I haven't had done to myself.
That's very interesting because I think it goes back on a couple of interviews you talked about with old guard training, and you mentioned it at the beginning of this too, starting from the bottom up. And so until you started speaking about that, I was actually unfamiliar with that. So I would love to hear more about your experience with that. I know you've talked once or twice about testing toys out on yourself prior to using them.
Sure. I think I have mixed feelings about old guard because I think it's like very classical in the sense that there's not like room for improvement in a lot of like old guard leather sub communities. But I also think it's like really interesting way of like being, and I think it can be a little bit gatekeepy as well. And I don't like want to feel that way about like knowledge or community. But also like there were a lot of good things about the place I trained and a lot of not so great things. But I think something that was really interesting to me about it was like that it was a community and that there was structure and that there were rules, and I was really looking for a place with structure and rules so I like knew how to interact with people. I think I mentioned in the beginning of the interview I like one-on-one conversations the best, and I like BDSM parties because everyone has a role and everyone knows what to do, and there's like not a lot of small talk because you're like, oh cool, you're wearing this fucking amazing fetish piece, tell me something about it. Or you're like, you're doing my boots, where did you learn to boot black? And I was just always like a super kinky curious person, and when I found the kink chateau, they were like, cool, like our mistress in training program.
That sounds adorable. Like, mistress in training program.
MIT. I went to MIT.
Okay. I'm snapping for you. That's my sorority girl.
And so like I trained from the bottom up. I earned a pair of thigh-high black leather boots. I used to, when I first started doming, would dom completely nude in thigh-high leather boots, which was pretty hot. And
I'm in pain. Yeah.
Yeah. And then doming is really much better suited for me. It's not, I never felt like I was like bottoming just for the sake of bottoming. I was definitely getting something out of it at the time. I was like a super horny 19-year-old who was like, I want to experience it all. I'm a hedonist. Give it all to me. I want to know it all.
That sounds amazing. It sounds like you really claimed it even at 19 years old.
I was very into it.
So when you say old guard training, does that imply that there is a new guard training now, or is that just a play on words?
I think there's maybe like new guard leather communities that are probably less about training, which like might look like, I actually don't know too much about this, so this is just me. I feel like a lot of like kinky influencer people who you follow from like the poly communities would probably be more like considered new guard.
Interesting. Yeah, a little bit outside my realm too, but it's just words, right? Just putting new vocabulary to things that are happening. We kind of talked about this in our conversation before, but I am interested how, I mean, this could just not even just be you as a person, but how does a submissive make you feel valuable? Just in general, I guess this could be in sessions, could be in your personal dynamics.
I think consistency is probably what is key to me the most. Consistency, communication, like setting me up for success. And I mean that both, like setting me up for success in a way of like telling me what I need to know to conduct a good scene. And also like I feel valued when people contribute to my like success, stability, and financial success as well.
Yeah, because there definitely has to be a level of needs that are met before you can enjoy, fully any sort of XYZ, which I think a lot of pro-doms and a lot of workers talk about that as well. So it's always good to reiterate and hear that. What makes you comfortable with playing with a submissive?
That I think that they're comfortable with themselves, and that I trust that they'll say no if they want to say no.
Okay.
That's my hot tip is my question on my contact form that is most informative to me is when was the last time that you cried? And I use that as sort of a metric of how far I'd be willing to go in a first session with someone.
Ooh, I don't even think I've heard you say that before. And I've seen and read a lot of your contact. Hot tips, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
You heard it here. Oh, okay. Okay, last question, because I am a very good girl and a very good baby, and I know you only gave me a time limit, and I stopped my stopwatch at that certain time. This is the most important question of it all. Excuse my words. Are you ready?
Give it to me.
Do you sing in the shower?
I don't.
I
have people sing for me in the shower.
Oh, is that a thing have you ever done a scene like that before? That sounds actually truly lovely.
It's not true, but I did have a submissive who was a Shakespearean trained actress and would recite to me all of the kinky sonnets while I bathed.
I would ask you further information on this, but I actually prefer to have my own imagination and the viewer's imaginations just to take off with that, with just that morsel of information.
Let me see if I can find give me one moment.
What was that topic? You said Shakespearean X. It was just such bourgeoisie words that you put together that like I was just like, oh, it's fancy, and that's all I took in.
I'm gonna pause that. Okay, I'm not sure where it's from, but she recites it so much better than me, so she's gonna be embarrassed for me when I do this. But I am your spaniel, and Demetrius, the more you beat me, the more I'll fawn on you. Use me. Oh no, an ad came up. Use me, but as your spaniel, spurn me, strike me, neglect me, lose me, only give me leave, unworthy as I am to follow you. And what worse place can I beg in your love, and yet a place of high respect with me, that to be used as you use your dog.
Listen, I don't want to speak for whatever, person who did this for you, but that was amazing. I'm gonna take a bath.
She performs it like a Shakespearean actress, so it was very good. And also performs it while being slapped in the face over and over again on repeat. So everyone can think about that.
Thank you very much.
Quote. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quote, well, hot tips. You heard it here first.
You're hearing a lot of good things. Well, I'm going to ask straight out, if not for our viewers, but for myself, permission to think about that as I'm showering in the shower tonight.
You may.
Thank you very much, Mistress. You are so kind. Well, I think that wraps up any questions that I have on my end. I really appreciate you taking a hot minute at the end of our own personal session to kind of answer some questions and let me learn a little bit more about you. For people who don't know.
It was truly a pleasure.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Especially for people who don't know. I don't know if this is my first time speaking in one of these with Mistress Blonde, but I am a new client of hers, started in September during the pandemic. So we've created a very interesting relationship that has been cultivated. And part of my questions were just trying to get to know her. I'm talking about you in third person right now, but just trying to get to know you a little bit more. And so I appreciate any chances and seconds that we get to kind of make these memories. And
yeah, thank you. This was very fun. I liked your little surprise questions.
Pop.
Do you sing in the shower?
I absolutely do right now. I'm a little bit stuck on Hamilton, so it's been singing. I admit I've been singing it during the session. So if you go back and notice, my voice might fluctuate to helpless.
Amazing. Okay, well, that's all for now, folks.